over to AI Director Fran to share some exciting updates on combat AI.
Hi everybody. So I'm Francesco Roccucci, as you said, and I'm the AI Director at CIG. It's a great pleasure to be here with all of you guys. It's fantastic. So what we're going to do today is to explore how all the work we've done for Squadron 42 is going to flow into the Star Citizen experience. So we wanted to make the AI presentation about how you guys are going to experience the tech and the features we have been working on. So from the player perspective, you've seen how many new opportunities you have. And now it's interesting to see how the NPC are going to react to that. So the goal of Star Citizen is to build a breathing and living environment where your actions matters, and the NPC you will find in the universe needs to have the same opportunities and same limitations that you have. So when we play a game, we want you to spend the time that feels memorable, that feels special, right? Something you can remember and talk about. So we want you to give you a challenge to overcome, but also a challenge that is fun and doesn't feel repetitive and boring. So when we look at FPS Encounter, we want to build variety. We want to give the designers, like Zach, the ability to craft combat scenarios, not just to put NPC in the level. And we need to make sure that he can tweak something such that he can experience the unique play style and the play space that you have. So Star Citizen can benefit from tons of unique environments. So for those environments, we want you to have different type of fun. So what we look at today is some of the tools that they have to achieve this goal and bring the AI to the next level. So the first tool we're going to look at today is the NPC trait system. So we spoke about this in the past, and we have now available for designers the initial set of traits they can use to influence their behaviors. So those are some of the ones that are available to the designers. Today we're going to focus on the combat traits, because we have traits that also apply to the peaceful situation and the social environment, but those are the ones that influence NPCs during a combat scenario. And traits, you can imagine them as characteristics NPCs have or don't have. So through the usage, we can make sure the combat feels different from one encounter to another. Traits in tech-wise, are just traits and tags that we can apply to character instance, character classes, but code can also apply them automatically based on specific rules. For example, if you see somebody with a rocket launcher, those will apply, an example, the sentry trait automatically, because those weapons are weapons that work well arranged, so you want them to not push towards to you. So they allow to block, or actually, they allow or they block specific section of the behaviors to run, but they also influence the likelihood of some logic to happen, or they modify the outcome of specific actions. So let's imagine we want to model a pirate faction, something that you can actually experience in the Pyro playground. So we want them to feel aggressive, but also not very trained. They are not very military. So how do we do it with the traits? We can start adding to this faction either the aggressive or reckless trait. Those are traits that increase the risky behaviors. So for example, fighting more in open space, or expose themselves longer when they are in cover. We can then assign to some of those pirates the ignore fire obstruction trait. As you've seen, for example, in Chris Ray's presentation during the CTG demo, like we have now destructible environment. So what the NPC will try to do is to keep shooting at the position the enemy has been hiding into. So you will see destroyed environment, but you will also see them being less careful and managing their ammos. For others, we could use the undisciplined trigger finger trait. So this trait is, for example, meant to convey the inability to control their weapon when they are emotionally engaged in the fight. And what it will cause is them to trigger the weapon much longer compared, or also just a bit longer compared to what the behavior is asking. So big data preserving their ammo means they will also run out of bullets much quicker. So this offers interesting opportunities for players because they can now shoot at them while they reload or where they scavenge the environment. So traits are building blocks we can use to define how character, faction, and encounter should feel. And designer can now create a wide variety of encounters for you guys to enjoy the game. So, I want to make a picture for you guys. So this is the bunker mission environment, right? And we have a set of enemies that are defending the environment. So this is imagine an infiltrate and destroy mission. Those guys are there defending the bunker. And you need to take it over. You need to basically kill them all. You are now fighting against enemies that they defend the environment. So before we go to the next slide, imagine the same environment, very similar enemies, but different traits, same behavior. So now you are defending the environment and they are aggressive towards the environment. They want to take it. So what you will see here is I created a mix of enemies. So I'm equipped with, for example, a shotgun and aggressive traits. Now they will push towards you. They will force you to take actions and to react to them. They reload. Some will cover up. Obviously this is with gun mode on, so Zacco's not that. So this is possible to set up with a takeoff box. But this is not just enemies, because in Star Citizen we want you to hire your own crew members. And those crew members, those characters will have different personalities, different traits, different training level that they can build up. But when you look at their traits, we want you to see their strengths and their weaknesses so that you can pick the one that either match your playstyle or compensate your playstyle. So one good thing that we want to show you today is the medic. So there are some NPCs that can carry obviously med pants, but not everybody is able to use it well or wants to use it in a specific encounter. So we want to tweak this, and we have the medic trait. Here we combine a lot of the tech that we have spoken in the past, usable tech, behavior tech. And as Jens showed you, players now can just not only kill enemies, because before our NPCs would just die, but now you can take them down, you can restrain them. So the perception is to carry all this information about the different actor states. So he needs to know if he's down, but if he's still alive, or if it's just, somebody that you need to wake up. So a medic in the regular combat flow can, when it's safe to do so, and at the right time, attempt to heal his mate that can be helped. So now you can imagine guard patrolling the environment, you take down a character, the guard finds this body on the ground. He doesn't know if he's alive or not. So he can go there, he can check it, check the pulse, see the state, and if he can be helped, he can basically execute the right healing process. If he needs a med pen, he will use the med pen. If he needs to shake him to wake him up, he will shake him up. And if he needs to unrestrain him, he will unrestrain him. And your crew members can also do the same with you. So if you are down in critical condition, they can come and help you out. We'll see now an example of this, where two factions are fighting. And you will see that at the right time, when the guy retreats, this guy can go there and heal his mate. And obviously, he needs to pick up a new weapon because he just dropped it. So as we mentioned before, and as you've seen here, NPC can run out of bullets, but can also lose their weapons. So what we have to do right now is that, first of all, we want NPCs to have a concrete ammo pool to use. We don't want infinite ammos anymore. So the ammo pool is actually constructed by the ammos that NPC carry in their weapons, the one that they carry, the one that might have, and all the magazines they carry. They don't have any more bullets out of them. So NPC must properly use those items to fight. And the longer the engagement, the more likely it is they will run out of bullets and they will have to scavenge the environment. How do they do that? It's through the NPC, the usable system, as you've seen with Ines as well, Ines' presentation. You see that anything the player can interact with, the NPCs actually can, the same exact way. So the dead bodies can be looted, same as dropped weapons. Ammo crates will have physically inside some weapons, magazines. They can provide you with items. An NPC can understand where he can find ammos that are actually functioning with their own weapons. And they actually can decide. For example, if it's better to reach an ammo crate and gather some new ammos, or if that is too far or towards the enemy, they can decide to pick up another weapon. So you will see that also already in the Pyro, you might see it. And once they decide to do so, obviously they don't have bullets, so they cannot fight you. What they can do, they can also switch to their sidearms. And the sidearms is less effective, obviously from the primary compared to the primary weapon, but it is still better than nothing for them to protect themselves while they go around and they loot the environment. So we'll see here an example where the PC ran out of bullets. Obviously in this video we give them a chance to go and loot as well. And this is a proper ammo crate that allows them to get back magazines. And another NPC arrives, and he will loot the dead body. This is the same dead body you might be able to loot, and you will not find ammos after that. And you will probably find it in the other one, once you're here. So, last but not least, another tool in the FPS arsenal is grenades. Grenades are a great tool. NPC can now fully react and use grenades in the environment. So grenades are a great tool, especially when an NPC needs to counter a player that is camping, or a player that is hiding, or saying a location that the NPC cannot reach. So grenades force the movement and keep the action going. But they're also very dangerous. You've seen in Ali's presentation and my presentation that a grenade can make electronics explode, ignite a fire, and then the fire can propagate in the environment. So NPCs need to properly understand the environment and not jump into the fire and not get damaged. So how do we do that? Is we have a new full system to handle hazards. Basically, a hazard on the technical side can create a navigation volume modifier, and the navigation volume modifier gets registered in the navigation system, and our basically mesh can be modified, and it will carry semantic about if there is a danger, something better, and how much costly it is to go through. Because maybe you have a suit that allows you to go through the fire, so that is fine. You will not, the NPC can understand that. But if they can't, they will try to find positions that are safe for them to position themselves, but also paths that will avoid those dangerous areas. And now we'll see an example of that. This is a safe environment, still fighting, but safe, safer. What will happen now? Fire ignites and propagates. This is fully dynamic, so it's fully controlled by the fire system. The fire system modifies volumes in the navigation system, and we really know where we can and not pass at any given moment. So this is a subset of the things that we worked on and we wanted to show you today. Thanks very much for listening, and now back to Jens.
Right, I want to thank Ines, I want to thank Zach, and I want to thank Francesco for joining me on stage today. We want to extend a massive thank you to everyone who contributed to, supported us, and made it possible to show what we showed today. Now, with relentless optimism, we're looking forward to bringing you this all to the Star Citizen and more. Okay, we're going to leave you with a quick peek of a demo in Hangar 13 of Checkmate with some of these new features. Enjoy. thank you very much. I urge you all to come and join us in the current playground pit and have a go at Hangar 13 and Checkmate. It's a really great encounter. Thank you.
So that was live from the first person. We're keeping this train running because we got a lunch to get to. Up next is Taking Flight with Yogi, Inez, and more. Let's get it started. Whoop.
Is my mic on? Okay. Can you hear me? Fine. These are the wrong slides. Hang on. Well, hello everyone. My name is Yogi Klatt. I'm a principal vehicle programmer at Cloud Imperium Games, and I focus on space flight and space combat. I really love my job, so this is why I'm really excited to show you the progress that we did on Squadron 42 in the last 2 years. So there's two things I need to say here. First thing is, we're doing a live demo, and the build is about 12 hours old, so there is a good chance. There's a good chance for bugs, which, well, if you see them, just look away. It will be fun. The second thing is, I'm not flying myself today. It will be Brent Gunzinger. He's using a setup of 2 VKB sticks, so left and right HOSA setup from VKB, and he's also using the fantastic Toby device. So we'll swap during the presentation between using head tracking and not using head tracking. Yes, so, but the good thing is, the relationship between you and your starship, it doesn't start when you take off, it starts way before that. There's a lot of stuff we do now in pre-flight. So please welcome back Ines Caldas, who will walk us through that process.
Hello everyone, it's a privilege to be here back on stage to tell you all about what you can expect about the player interaction experience inside your cockpit. I've told you before how we've been working towards improving the player interaction experience all across our game. And we wanted to bring these improvements to what happens inside the cockpit. So we wanted to give you a greater immersion and Okay, yeah, the slides are not, sorry about that. Yeah, so we want to give you a greater immersion and give you a closer experience to what pilots go through in real life, not only when you're flying around your ship, but the moment you take your seat at the cockpit. So to achieve this, we've created, when you enter your ship, you'll be put in what we call a new relax pose. So in this pose, you'll have free look enabled, so you can easily look around the cockpit and your dashboard. The prompts will be showing over the button so you can easily find the ones you have to interact, and you, the pilot, have to press all the different buttons to get your ship ready for flying, and the character hands will be lowered away from the control stick. So all of this blends neatly into our new player animated interaction system, whereby any button is now physically pressed. So this new system uses what we call a CDIK approach. This stands for code-driven IK, or inverse kinematics, and gives full control of the IK setup to the code. So this, among other things, allows us to record the path of the hand relative to its target. So we can have more detailed animations than just simply blending the hand into position. So for example, we can open a flap and then press the button. But enough of me talking, let's go jump into the demo and see all of this in action. So Brand very kindly will get us into the ship where you'll see the new enter sequence. And you'll see the new animations we have been working on. So you can see now that you won't directly grab the control stick. you'll be put on this relaxed pose with free look enabled, and you can see the different prompts appear over the buttons. So let's get this show started and get your ship ready for flying. So Brent, if you could close the canopy so we don't go flying around with that open. Power our systems. Look at that. And finally, turn our engines. Yeah, so you are now ready for flying. So we will be bringing all of this to all of our ships in our fleet. And that's all from me. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Tony to tell you all about the new UI.
Sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Tony. I'm Senior UI Programmer here at CIG. And I'm here to explain some of the spoilers that you saw yesterday about our new ship UI. So, are you ready to see the ship UI in action? Right. Bone, play the demo. Brant, continue with the demo. So, as you can see already, this ship has less intrusive UI, with more space to enjoy the stunning vistas that planets can offer, and less cluttered views so you can focus during combat. This also means that the UI elements are now more relevant to the situation, linked to the operator mode. For example, when we change to scan mode, the crosshair has scanning information about your target, and even the MFDs have changed. Some of these elements can be customized, but we'll see more about that later. For this demo, we're showing the UI developed for this Gladius. Basic information related to navigation will always be available on your view, and this Gladius displays all of that with holograms around the dashboard. But other ships may have different layouts and styles, on brand with the manufacturer. For example, the Drake, that makes more affordable ships, rather than fancy and probably expensive holograms, may use physical screens, dials, and light indicators. This dashboard shows your current speed, the remaining afterburn, and some decoys available. On both far sides, we have status indicators that will show things like if your landing gear is on, or any other flight systems. Worth mentioning that we have prototyped these for the demo, so right now they're holograms, but on the final design, these are going to be physical screens. On the far left, on the top of the dashboard, we have the indicator of which master mode and operator mode are you on. So let's change that to combat and talk about these new MFDs. So we have reworked all of these MFDs from scratch with brand new views using our UI technology building blocks. We can still navigate through these MFDs using the classic mouse interaction, holding F and then moving the mouse. On the left here, we can see the scanning view, which is going to show information that you take when you scan a target. It may show information about the ship name, the pilot name, or even the current operator mode of your target, so you know if they're just chilling around or they're ready to fight you. Cycling to the left one, we have the target status, which will focus on emissions, damage, and orientation of your target. We'll see that in action later. The next one, continuing to the left, will be the self status, which is contextual. So during navigation, that will show your current view, but during combat, like right now, will show information about your guns. You can click on the gun, and you can see basic information about that. You will see the name, and you can also see which group they're assigned, which Yogi will explain later. On the MFD on the right side, we have the power management, where we can distribute the power of different systems of the ship. You can click on the triangle and move it around to change the distribution, and you can turn down the total power of the ship that will generate. The classic key bindings that you all know already works, so when you change the power management, you will see now a triangle on top of the radar to show you the changes. Now, instead of using mouse, you can also use key bindings to select MFDs and cycle through the views, which might be faster when you are in certain situations like during combat. And for those pro players out there, we have added about 100 key bindings, and I mean 100, to navigate through all of these systems. So you can fully customize how you want to navigate through them. And I really hope that's more than enough to use on your keyboard, on your hot task, or even on your game class setup. But if you need more, just let us know. Anyway, I think you're not gonna need even those many shortcuts. For each operator mode, we now persistently save which views are shown on each MFD. So you can customize what's important to you for every situation. So as an example, during combat, you might want to have target information on your MFDs, but maybe when you change to quantum travel, have your current fuel, spend some time on the configuration screen, for example. Let's talk about this configuration screen. We're going to have now here a variety of options, from customizing UI elements to enable systems of the ship. We may see some of these later in action with Yogi. These settings are now available on this screen, not in the global settings of the game, for quick access. So just a warning, expect changes on the settings that you already know, but we'll tell you all about it when we have it ready. And the important bit about this is that they will persist to your ship. So you can keep different setup of which UI elements and even ship systems enable for how you personally use each of your ships. Now, some of you might be thinking that these Gladius settings have enough MFDs. Can we enable the top setting? For those of you that you want to see even more information, you can now cast versions of these MFDs to your helmet. For this, you're going to need to equip the appropriate helmet, so it's connected to your ship and I can get all this information. You can use the key bindings, as I mentioned before, so you can select which cast you want to control and how to cycle through them. So you can pin views that are important to you that will move with your camera. So as you have seen, if you're aiming at the target or if you're moving with your head tracker, those views are going to be always with you. With all these tools, you can customize your experience and have it ready for every situation that you encounter with your ship, always displaying the relevant information to you. So for example, during combat, you may want to have all the UI elements enabled, all the pips, all the crosshairs, so the information of your ship on the physical MFDs, and maybe focus on the target information on your cast, so they're always on your view. But maybe when you go to quantum travel, you can turn those casts off so you can enjoy the vistas. That's all for me. Now we have MFDs ready, and let's bring Yogi back to tell you all about flying your ship. Thank you very much.
Okay, at this point our ship is fully powered up, ready to fly. Pre-flight is complete. So Grant, please take off, put the landing gear in and bring us out. Have you seen the interaction? This is great, isn't it? Okay, so one of the problems we always have in space games is to produce a sense of speed. Space is big, and the sense of speed is always produced by small things going around you. So although it's not very visible here, the VFX team has actually added space dust. So in the future you can tell where your ship is going, even without looking at instruments. Another thing we're focusing on as well is G-force reactions. So Brent, if you could come to a stop for a second. When your ship is sitting like that, and you strafe left and right, you have these small head motions that basically make your head and your body react to the G-forces they're currently enduring. We're actually increasing them now. We also added rotational G-forces into the mix, so if Brent is now rotating the ship to the left, you also can see that your head is swaying a little bit. Things get a little bit more interesting when Brent is actually taking boost into the mix. So the now boost forwards, we now added a camera shake, we added FOV changes, and this all then plays together with the other things like the other exhaustion effects that we have. So overall, the ship should now feel a little bit more reactive than before. The same thing. Sorry. At the same time, we reduce the extensions that the look-ahead code is doing. So We basically narrowed it down a little bit so it mixes better with the G-force reaction, so that even when you don't have a head tracker or something like that, it will still feel pretty good. But this is just a minor change. We also improved the flight controls themselves. So take a look at the speed gauge, for example. It's a little bit twitchy today. What that speed gauge is telling you, the number that's currently moving, is what kind of speed goal Brent is actually putting in. If he puts his stick all the way forward, the left one, you will now be able to see and read the number that you're asking IFCS to speed and forward momentum. This also allows us to bring back the sticky throttle we had pre 3.5, where now if you play with mouse and keyboard, you can press W and S to increase and decrease your speed, and let go of the key, and the ship will not automatically come to a stop. Of course, this is all completely configurable, so you can enable that or not if you want. Okay, Brent, give me some hard flying now, like blackout and all that. Okay, so another thing we changed in the flight model is that we actually looked at the tricoding exploits. These are really important for PvP and racing players among you, because tricoding gives us a mathematical problem that we're trying to resolve. On some ships, when you tricode, you get actually up to 50% more acceleration. That huge difference actually makes a lot of the ship difference meaningless, so we're cutting back on those. So the first implementation of that is already available in the master mode testing areas in 3.21, I think. But we're improving the algorithm right now so that it actually is less punishing in future master mode builds. This is actually a current version, so as long as you go roughly forward, you get the full Gs from your back engines. Okay, so now the biggie in the room. We're talking master modes. Master modes is by far the biggest change we're doing on the ship gameplay. In general, all of your ships will be put into, or will get a master mode setup. And the master mode is affecting basically everything surrounding everything on the ship. The ship itself, the flight model a little bit, but specifically the items and what they do. And there are two master modes we're going to talk today about. One is SCM, which stands for Space Combat Maneuvering, and the other one is Navigation. So let's look into SCM. SCM is the mode that Brent currently has active. So you see the, Brent, can you go into the indication, please, for the master mode? Just point with the mouse there, if you can. Yeah, so this is your current master mode. It says SCM. When you use SCM for basically all the gameplay that is not traversal. So combat, mining, salvaging, using it for that. You have full access to your combat system. Your shields are working, your thruster boost is fully active, your weapons are working. It's the high performance, high alertness mode that you're in. However, we will heavily restrict how fast we can go. We can go with your ship. Okay, Brent, go to full max speed. So the Gladius on max speed and SCM can reach about 225 meters per second. That might seem slow compared to what you have in the Pew right now, but it's still pretty fast. However, you can extend that speed. Brent, if you just go forward and boost. So the Gladius can extend up to 550 meters per second. On this slide here, you can see the speed spaces we're talking about. So if you're just flying around in SCM, which is like the max speed of your ship, you can reach the 225 meters per second. If you boost, you can reach up to 500 or 550. However, that boost space is not spheric. That means if you boost forward, you reach higher speeds than if you boost backwards. That's really important for space combat maneuvering, because, or for dogfighting in general, because it discourages backstrafing, it actually punishes backstrafing, and it creates more interesting combat maneuvers. The PvP players among you, they basically call this encouragement to closing the gap, which is basically more forward-centric combat, which is much more exciting than backstrafing and just trying to get some shots on. It also forces you as combat players to commit to the decisions you did earlier in the fight. So it's going to be, we think it's much more exciting. So in short, you pick SCM when you need to fight, or when you want to fight, or when you need to fight, right? The thing with the master mode switches is that they do not happen instantly. They take a while to move over. So we're now going to put our ship into the second mode, which is navigation. So navigation mode is basically the opposite of SCN. What this does, it gives you a high-speed, low-performance mode. Your shields, they will collapse. Your weapons will not be able to fire. Your defensive systems will not be functional. But you have higher speeds. So in nav mode, you can still reach the speeds of what you have probably at the PU, something, I mean, depending on the ship, sometimes 1,000 meters or 1,400 meters per second. But all regenerative systems, so regenerating the weapon capacitor, the thruster boost, will be inhibited. So this means when you want to go fast, you need to be very, very careful when you want to swap over. So imagine you're in a fight and you want to escape. You should not do it right away, because if you just swap to navigation mode in the hope to flee, you are being left with no shields. And the first thing that will go offline when you are hitting with distortion guns is the quantum drive. And that is important, because the quantum drive will spool automatically up when you enter nav mode, and it will then unlock the higher speeds. So this means when you're in nav mode and you're fighting, you're very vulnerable, so you should get out as fast as possible. Luckily, navigation mode not only allows you a higher speed, but also gives you access to the new quantum travel experience, which we're going to show in a minute. So, that is nav point that you see there on the screen. This is the point where I want to go to in quantum travel to. Before we do that, I need to quickly explain what this is about. So, currently in the PU, when you quantum travel from A to B, you're actually not really moving. You're going on a spline, and you're teleported in every frame along that spline. So there's basically no meaningful gameplay we can add there. The new quantum travel experience is fully physicalized. Physics is always on, which means when you quantum travel from A to B, you're actually accelerating using our awesome physics engine. And because it's physicalized, it gives us a lot more meaningful gameplay we can play with. So, Brent will start the quantum travel in a second. What will happen then is your quantum drive will initiate the jump. You will see an effect that distorts the space around you. And you will accelerate forward. During the acceleration process, and so this is the time until you actually reach your cruise speed, the ship will experience forces. And you as a player, you're responsible to counter these forces. So there is an element of failure. Okay, Brent, let's show that. And take your hands off. So what you just saw is basically the failed attempt to quantum travel. Brad wasn't countering the forces, therefore he was thrown out, the quantum bubble collapsed and threw you out. Your ship doesn't like that. IFCS needs 5-6 seconds to recover from that, during which time you're just tumbling, right? So, and this is not just like dependent on your skills. If you think selecting a proper quantum drive doesn't matter in the future, think again. You want to take care of your quantum drive, you want to repair it and keep it in good shape. So if you buy a cheap one, your travel will not necessarily be faster, but it might be harder. Okay, so Brent shows how it's done properly. There's a second variant of quantum travel, and this is for short-range jumps. Sometimes you jump somewhere or you go somewhere, and you see the next point of interest is like 1,200 kilometers away. We're not going to force you anymore to travel that by hand. You will use a technique called quantum boosting. It's a quantum-based short-range jump for like something between a couple of 100 kilometers to like 30,000 kilometers or so. When you use quantum boosting, the process is practically the same, but the quantum bubble will not stabilize itself, so you need to be hands-on for the whole time, and the speeds are naturally, well, slower, but it's not slow, it's still quantum traveling, right? Okay, so Brent, can you boost to, oh, reinforcement needed, yeah, let's go there, let's boost. Oh, actually, sorry. Okay, so what Brent is currently showing here is, I think I forgot to mention, quantum boosting works in every direction. You don't need half bonds. Brent is awesome, thank you. Okay, so now please boost to reinforcements needed. So if there's enough quantum and you boost, your quantum travel system will pick that live point to go to. Welcome to Pyro 3. As you can see, there's a lot of UI happening right now. There's a lot of context there. And this is not an online demo, it's a single player. So that means all these units there, they're friendly and hostiles, they're probably fighting with each other. Which is a good segue to talk about AI improvements. And there's one man who can tell you all about AI. This is the man with the nicest legs at CIG. Well, please welcome Diego Marty Mason.
So who's excited to see the new AI changes? Hi everyone, as Yogi said, my name is Diego Marty Mason and I am the AI programmer focusing on the fly combat. Over the past year, we've been working on delivering a thrilling experience to the AI encounters. Let me first walk you through our journey. We first started looking at the current AI behavior in the PU. We quickly realized how uniform fighting was, and how we were not using all of the tech available to us to make a more interesting experience. We had the foundations, and we wanted to learn more about how you, the players, do your combat encounters in the verse. So we did this by getting combat recordings, analyzing videos, and internal playtesting, where we were hammering each other for hours. It was fun, unless you went up against experienced fighters like Dave. Anyway, with all of these data, we started crafting the first prototype, with the focus of bringing that human behavior into the AI brain. When the first version was ready to be tested, I handed it out to one of the best internal pilots in the team, Yogi. So Yogi, what do you think about my first prototype?
It was an exercise of humility. It was an exercise of humiliation. I hated it, and I blame Diego.
So this was due to the AI being able to keep a good range control and a perfect orbit around their target while maintaining a constant firing solution. Come on, it's a computer. We learned a lot from our initial prototype, and it really helped us to define what we wanted to deliver. A combat experience where the AI gets challenging, makes mistakes, just like us, humans. We want players to leave every combat encounter with a feel of satisfaction by encouraging you to keep on the move and make use of the vehicle systems available to you, so you can at least try to win the fight. Let's see how we brought this new iteration of combat to life. We brought them in multiple stages. The first one, interception. Then the main engage phase, which we broke in different tactics: strafer, jouster, chaser, and finally, disengage. Let's switch to the demo. As you can see, Brent has encountered a skirmish. Let's talk more about the combat flow there. Okay, we will start with interception. After acquiring the target, the primary aim is to close the gap with the target. If the AI is already near the target, the interception phase is skipped completely. If it's too far, it will tell the AI to use the new master mode to swap into navigation mode and make use of the full speed to chase, swapping back to SCM mode when we are in a striking distance. That leads us to our second phase, engage. Here the AI selects an adequate tactic based on combat environment. These are choosing via the traits and tactic selector system. You've heard more about them in the previous talk by Francesco. So let's talk about the strafer. As this is a 6 degrees of freedom game, it's the natural combat shape adopted by pilots. We have translated the same behavior to our AI, ensuring also that orbits are closed and adding variations to include rolling. Strafers will break combat if they cannot keep an orbit. So now we see how the hammerhead is being attacked by hornets. These hornets are jousters. Jousters consist of performing straight attacks while outputting a lot of firepower, blowing through, smooth turning, and repeating. We added variations for the more skilled pilots, like skid roll attacks, that provide a spiral-like flight path. Jousters are also good at monitoring for back strafers, so if they cannot get into strike distance, they will just break. And finally, the chaser. Now, Rain is going to get there in a second, but the chaser is going to be the cutlass, which is following one of the hornets and is allied with the hammerhead. Now, we are really far away, 10 kilometers. So the chaser, it will try to always stay on the target 6. The idea is to force the target into a defensive stance by making them turn into the chaser. This maneuver will be seen mainly in squads and atmosphere combat. The final phase, which can happen at any time, depending on the combat situation, is disengage. This phase is triggered based on constantly listening to multiple events in parallel. To name a few, critical health, damage to shields, or weapons depleted. There is also a shorter version of disengage that we call pace breaks, which occurs during long periods of combat due to fatigue, nature of the combat encounters. These pace breaks are short, and the main objective is to perform a simple maneuver to gain a new advantage position and strike again. This new flow is what encompasses the core of our new AI flight combat experience, in combination with AI traits that will give designers the tools to tailor each combat encounter in the verse. Like for example, they can choose the ace traits that will allow AI pilots to make use of all of the ship's angular velocity so they can keep a more precise orbit. So for some of you out there, it's going to be a good challenge. While we've been mainly focusing on fighter behavior, we've also started to follow the same process to other ship types, like gunships and capitals. In the near future, we want to deliver an experience where going against a capital ship like an Idris is a tough fight, that unless you bring the right combinations of tools, meaning ships that are equipped to take down capital ships, you will get demolished by their powerful turrets. Now, after all of the feedback, in our first internal playtest, we've received a lot of constructive and positive feedback. And Yogi is not longer being destroyed by the AI, so I think he likes it a bit more. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy the new AI. And back to you, Yogi.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about, we heard about how AI makes my life hard. Now let's talk about how to return the favor. We're talking weapons. So, the weapon and aiming systems in squadrons, they went through a lot of changes. I can only mention a couple of them, so I will go through them relatively quickly. First thing on our to-do list is basically weapon tuning. At the moment, almost all weapons in the PU are practically the same. In squadron, that's not the case. Almost all weapons have different properties. They have like different projectile velocities, different DPS numbers. But they're not just different in terms of these numbers. They also feel different. Remember the cinch cannons from like a couple of years ago? They were very powerful weapons, but they were extremely easy to use, which made them meta weapons. So we're going to bring the cinch cannon back, but we make sure that the amount of work you put into these cannons in order to employ them is on par with the other guns. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to do to make sure that weapons have a lot of pros and cons and avoid meta. Specifically for the spill, Brent is equipped with a nose, I think it closes with a laser repeater. Can you fire it once? Yeah. And the other weapon he has is he has 2 weapons on the wings, which are Gets cannons, size 3. With 1 push, they're actually firing 2. So we're also gonna have burst weapons, and so on. Okay, cool. So A problem we have in space